Have you ever been standing at the counter trying to order a complicated coffee and suddenly your brain just freezes?
Oh, absolutely. That moment where you know the words, but they all disappear because you're worried about the difference between I had ordered and I ordered.
Exactly. You just want a large latte, but you end up saying big drink, milk, hot.
Yeah, that feeling is so common, especially for English learners at the A2 or B1 level. They know so much grammar, but it becomes a wall when they actually try to speak.
Welcome to the English Blend. I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo.
Today, we're at the virtual coffee shop to talk about that wall. We are focusing entirely on fluency and why sometimes letting go of perfect grammar is the key to finally speaking confidently.
We know you want to sound perfect, but honestly, perfection is often the enemy of communication.
Exactly. So grab your coffee and let's get started.
We need to start by defining two important words, fluency and accuracy. These words sometimes feel the same, but they are very different concepts in language learning.
Let's keep it simple. Accuracy is about being correct. It's about using the right tense, the correct prepositions, and pronouncing words perfectly. It's the textbook side of English.
And fluency. Fluency is about communication and flow. Can you keep the conversation moving? Can you express your thoughts without huge, long pauses?
Think of it this way. If you are ordering that coffee and you say, I want 2 large coffees, but you meant 2 small coffees, you were highly fluent, but inaccurate in your order.
The barista still understood your request for coffee, right? They just needed clarification on the size. Communication happened. That's fluency in action.
Right? Fluency is simply the ability to speak easily and effectively. It's about getting your point across, which is our first useful phrase for today.
Ah, get your point across. What does that mean, Mia?
To get your point across means that the other person understood the essential message you were trying to send. The meaning landed, even if the delivery was a little shaky.
So if I say, yesterday I went store buy milk. Even though the grammar is messy, I got my point across that I bought milk yesterday.
You absolutely did. And that is much better than freezing for 5 minutes while trying to conjugate go perfectly into the past continuous perfect.
That perfect conjugation, that pursuit of accuracy is often what stops the flow, you know?
Totally. We see this with intermediate learners all the time. They're stuck between A2 and B2 because they know too much grammar.
They spend so much time reviewing the rules in their heads before they speak that the conversation has already moved on. They're editing their internal script in real time.
It's like trying to drive a car while constantly checking the engine manual. You might know everything about the engine, but you won't get anywhere fast.
That is such a good analogy. You need to focus on the road, which in our case is the conversation itself.
So why does grammar block fluency so badly? It's fear. The fear of making a mistake.
And the fear of judgment, right? We're often worried that if we use the wrong preposition, people will think we don't know English at all.
But native speakers make mistakes all the time. We use slang, we interrupt ourselves, we forget words. English conversation is inherently imperfect.
Exactly. If you only focus on speaking 100% correct sentences, you are going to slow down your speaking rate to almost zero.
And the person listening to you will feel uncomfortable because of the silence. They might even try to finish your sentences for you, which can feel frustrating.
Oh, that's the worst. When someone jumps in because you've taken too long trying to find the perfect conditional sentence structure.
Right. So the main takeaway here, and we will repeat this throughout the episode, is fluency is communication, not perfection.
Let's talk about a specific scenario. Imagine you are at work and you need to tell your boss about a deadline that was missed.
High pressure situation. You need to inform them quickly and clearly.
If you spend 30 seconds figuring out whether you should say, the report had been finished by the team, or the team finished the report, you waste time and sound less confident.
But if you just say, the report is not ready, we need 2 more hours, that is clear, direct, and fluent. The grammar might be slightly basic, but the point got across immediately.
The employer cares about the status of the report, not your mastery of the passive voice.
And this applies outside of work too. Think about meeting new people. Maybe someone at the coffee shop or a party.
Small talk is all about rapid back and forth. If you pause too long to construct the perfect sentence, the connection is lost.
So, how do we stop the grammar police in our own heads? We have to change our focus from the rulebook to the flow.
One technique we hear a lot about is something called the 3-second rule. This is one of our first big tips.
The 3-second rule is simple. When someone asks you a question, or when you want to respond, you must start speaking within 3 seconds.
3 seconds is just enough time to grab the most basic framework for your response. It forces you to rely on automatic language rather than calculated, conscious grammar rules.
If you wait longer than 3 seconds, your brain has time to load the complex grammar rules, start the internal editing process, and then you freeze.
It's a trick to bypass the thinking brain and activate the speaking brain. It won't be perfect, but it will be fast.
And that speed is what defines fluency. You are prioritizing the delivery of the message.
Let's try to simulate this 3-second rule. I'll ask you a simple question, and you respond quickly, Mia.
Okay, ready. I'm ignoring the grammar police.
What did you eat for lunch today? 3 seconds starting now.
I eat sandwich because I was hungry very much.
Great. The grammar wasn't perfect, like I eat hungry very much, but I know you had a sandwich and you were extremely hungry. It was fluent and the message was clear.
Exactly. If I had paused, I would have been thinking, should I use the simple past? Is very much appropriate? Should I say so hungry? And then 5 seconds later, I'd whisper, sandwich?
That is the difference between speaking and translating in your head.
So tip 1 is the 3-second rule. Force the response.
Now, let's go into a small story, a little cultural note that highlights this struggle with perfectionism.
I love stories.
I remember when I was traveling in Italy, I studied Italian for about 3 months before I went, but I only focused on grammar because I thought if I had the rules, I could speak.
Ah, the classic mistake.
Yes. I got to a train station and I needed to buy a ticket to Florence. I had meticulously planned this beautiful, perfect sentence in Italian.
You had the subjunctive tense ready to go.
Probably. Anyway, I walked up to the ticket window and I started my perfect sentence. Good morning. Excuse me. I wonder if it would be possible for me to purchase.
And what happened?
I completely blanked. I hit a wall, which is our second important phrase today. I forgot the word for purchase and the ending of the verb.
Oh, you hit a wall. That means you reached a point where you couldn't move forward anymore, right? You stopped completely.
Precisely. I hit a cognitive wall. The clerk was looking at me, waiting. Total silence.
Very stressful.
Finally, I just panicked and pointed at the map and said, Florence, ticket, now please.
Pure, raw communication.
The grammar was non-existent. It was maybe A1 level, but the clerk smiled, nodded, and sold me the ticket immediately. I got my point across.
That story shows that communication doesn't require complex grammar. It requires intent and understandable key vocabulary.
After that, I completely changed how I spoke. I decided that mistakes were okay, as long as the train ticket appeared in my hand.
That leads us nicely into tip 2. Focus on chunks, not single words.
If you learn English word by word, your brain has to work harder to assemble the sentence every single time. For example, don't learn thank, and you, and for, and the, and help separately. Learn the chunk, thank you for the help, as one single unit.
Or at the coffee shop. Don't just learn I and would and like. Learn the entire phrase, I would like a, or could I get a, as one block of sound.
These chunks are prefabricated sentences, or parts of sentences, that your brain can access instantly. They are ready to deploy, so they improve the speed of your speaking.
It takes the thinking out of it. It's not grammar anymore, it's simply muscle memory.
And you can expand these chunks. I would like a large coffee is one chunk. I would like a large coffee with extra cream is a slightly longer chunk.
If you train your brain to recognize and use these chunks, you are building fluency automatically. You are bypassing that grammar check. This is why massive listening is also so important, which is tip 3, massive input through listening.
Wait, how does listening improve speaking fluency? That seems counterintuitive, you know?
It's all about acquiring those chunks subconsciously. When you listen a lot to podcasts, music, movies, your brain absorbs the rhythm and the common patterns of English.
So even if I don't consciously analyze the grammar, hearing a native speaker use "it's not the end of the world" repeatedly makes it sound natural to me.
Exactly, and that phrase, "it's not the end of the world," is our third useful phrase for today.
I love that one. It's used everywhere.
It's not the end of the world means that whatever mistake happened, it's not a catastrophe. It's not serious, and things will be fine.
So if I make a grammar mistake when ordering my coffee, I can just remind myself, I used is instead of was, but it's not the end of the world.
Perfect use. It reduces the fear of inaccuracy.
Going back to massive listening, if you hear that phrase 50 times in different contexts, the next time you need to say something similar, your brain pulls out the whole correct chunk.
You don't have to assemble the parts, Leo. You just drop the whole thing into the conversation.
This is true for filler words too, like, right? Or I mean. These make us sound natural and they buy us time to think.
Those little fillers are incredibly important for fluency. They keep the sound going, preventing those awkward, long silences.
A fluent speaker uses fillers even if they aren't technically part of the sentence's meaning. They maintain the flow.
So let's combine our tips so far. Use the 3-second rule to force yourself to speak, rely on chunks of language you have learned, and build that inventory of chunks through massive listening.
And always remember, it's not the end of the world if you make a mistake.
Let's move on to tip 4, which is related to listening, but focuses on production. Shadowing.
Shadowing is a game changer for fluency and pronunciation.
It involves listening to a short audio clip and immediately trying to repeat exactly what the speaker is saying, slightly behind them, like a shadow.
You mimic the speed, the intonation, and the emotion of the native speaker. You don't focus on the meaning first, you focus on the sound and rhythm.
Why does this help fluency? Because it trains your mouth muscles and your vocal system to produce English speech rapidly without internal translation.
It forces you out of that slow word-by-word assembly process. You are treating the language like music or rhythm.
Try shadowing 5 minutes of English conversation every morning, maybe while you are making your coffee. Pick something simple, maybe a dialogue about going shopping or talking about work.
Use A2, B1 level material at first, and then build up the difficulty. The key is repetition and speed.
And our final, crucial tip, tip 5, prioritize clarity over complexity.
This is about intentionally using simpler grammar structures when speaking.
If you know 2 ways to say something, one very complex, like using a compound tense, and one simple, like using the simple past, choose the simple one when speaking quickly.
For example, instead of saying, "If I had known she was arriving, I would have prepared a welcoming dinner," which is a complicated third conditional.
Say something like, "I didn't know she was coming, so I did not make dinner."
Simpler sentences are less likely to contain errors, and they are faster to produce. They are also easier for the listener to process. You're being clear and fluent even if you are not showing off your extensive knowledge of English grammar rules.
Remember, our goal is to get our point across. We aren't taking an academic grammar test at the coffee shop.
Let's review the phrases we covered today, Mia.
First, get your point across. It means successfully communicating your central idea, regardless of minor errors. Use it often.
Second, hit a wall.
This describes that frustrating moment when you completely stop, you freeze, and you can't continue speaking or thinking.
And third, it's not the end of the world. This is your mantra for managing mistakes. Be kind to yourself.
We talked a lot about the fear of making mistakes, and that's okay. Recognizing the fear is the first step. When you feel that anxiety starting, just force yourself to follow the 3-second rule. Start speaking even if you just say or well.
Those fillers are gold. They maintain the conversational flow, you know?
Absolutely. And remember that the difference between a high B1 speaker and a B2 speaker isn't necessarily knowing more rules. It's about how quickly and easily they can access the language they already know.
It's automaticity. It's like learning to type. At first, you look for every letter, but eventually your fingers just move automatically.
Speaking English fluently is building that muscle memory, so your language comes out automatically without consciously checking the grammar every time.
So focus on listening a lot, learning chunks, and practicing shadowing to build that automaticity.
Don't wait for perfection. Perfection is a nice goal for writing an essay, but for conversation, it's a burden.
Start speaking today. Order that complex coffee with confidence. Even if you say, 2 milk large, the barista will probably understand.
They will probably just laugh kindly and ask, "You mean 2 large lattes?" And that is still a successful conversation.
That was a great talk. We covered a lot of ground today, and hopefully, we encouraged everyone listening to prioritize flow over rules.
Yes, and we encourage all our listeners to start integrating one of these tips into their daily routine, whether it's shadowing for 5 minutes or just committing to the 3-second rule.
Practice makes fluent, not just perfect.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next episode.
Next time, we are going to dive into how to effectively apologize and disagree politely in English. It's a tricky but essential skill for B2 learners.
See you then!
Yes, see you in the next episode of The English Blend.